and welcome back to HM's Footy Corner, where we talk all things football. And after another delightful weekend of football, of which Manchester United will take home the spoils, the bragging rights, the headlines. They've won their first trophy in 5 years. Great achievement for them. Ten Hag off the mark. Plenty more to come from him, I suspect. But underneath the surface, there's a story brewing. Something is bubbling at Stamford Bridge with none other than Graham Potter. So, just like the dodgeball movie, we're going to duck, dip, dive and dodge into this one. So grab a brew and let's get into it. There's no better place to discuss the shortcomings of Chelsea Football Club, none other than pitchside here at Stamford Bridge itself. Or as I like to see it, the comfort of my own home with a dodgy Chelsea background. But let's get into the video. Chelsea Football Club, another pitiful Potter performance against Tottenham. That's now down to their 10th defeat in their last 15 or so games. They're in truly monstrosity of footballing form right now. And who's to blame? Some may say Todd Bowley and the higher-ups, but for me it comes down largely to one man and one man only, Mr. Graham Potter. Since his arrival at Chelsea, it's been nothing but disastrous. Everything that we saw good from his previous team at Brighton has not been replicated here at Chelsea. But the things he has brought over are the negatives his Brighton team used to have. His Brighton teams were lively, but they always struggled to score goals. And here at Chelsea, we have the exact same thing. And there was a clip the other day that I saw as the February Goal of the Month competition for Chelsea. And it was the goal scored by João Felix. He got the victory. But that was their only goal they scored in the month of February. For a club of Chelsea stature, that is truly shambolic. And it leads to why they're in the position they are in. Currently sitting mid-table. Chelsea Football Club, mid-table. £600 million spent, mid-table. That alone is a sackable offence in itself. But let's discuss it further. Chelsea Football Club tactics. For some reason, Kai Havertz is still starting. Not just for Chelsea, who are meant to be a team to challenge for top honours. He's starting for a Premier League team. He's a truly shambolic footballer. And if he's anywhere near a Premier League team, you have to ask questions, especially of a manager who continuously starts him at number 9 position. And that brings it back. Chelsea have spent nearly 600 million and they still have not signed a striker. Now this is obviously going to be addressed in the summer, but if you finish 10th, 11th, you're not going to be in the market for the Harry Kanes, the Victor Osimhens of the world or the transfer market. It's not going to happen. Now, a team with all these new players, you could argue needs time to settle. But one of the most alarming things that I've seen from this Chelsea team is the absolute lack of cohesion, and there's not any sign of improvement that has occurred yet, or even looks like it's on the horizon. This looks like a football team that's just not playing for their manager whatsoever. It looks like a team that's ready to give up on their manager and await an incoming manager for their team. They look like a team that's down tools, and he's 6 months into his reign, and they're downing tools on him already. It's not a good sign for Graham Potter or for Chelsea Football Club. But this is the difference also. This is Chelsea Football Club. This isn't Brighton. If you analyse Graham Potter's reign at Brighton, for plaudits he got, the league positions they finished was almost always just above the relegation zone, other than that one season I think they finished 9th, or was it 10th? 9th I think it was. So mid-table finish. Now, at a team like Brighton, you can lose 3 games on the bounce. As long as you're playing good football, you can see some positive signs. The fans won't get on your back like they will at Chelsea Football Club. If you lose 3 games at a team like Chelsea, that's a crisis. That is a huge crisis. Especially if you're not scoring any goals, the performances are flat, the team doesn't look like they've been structured to a way to play together. It doesn't bode well. And also with a club like Chelsea, you automatically get different areas and different problems than you would at a club like Brighton. A club like Brighton is a selling club, so if you have a big superstar player or a player that hits great form, they will sell him. There'll be no need to manage him in a certain way because there's an agreement or unwritten rule within that club that they sell players on for profit and then reinvest because they've got a great scouting network. They've got a great setup there where they can identify players. But here at Chelsea, you've got a team full of league winners. I think some World Cup winners are in there. These are big, big characters and they all want to play. And there's a team squad there of now 25 players. Now that's causing Graham Potter a lot more problems than I think he would like. This is probably a problem given to him by Todd Boehly, who is probably ultimately the one that makes the signings for that team. But this is a part and parcel of the job. This is what you've got to put up with in these elite level jobs. And as such, as the manager, you need to be able to deal with them in order to appease the fans, appease the board, and get everything in order. This is the difference. There's a lot more to managing than just being a good coach. And at a big club like Chelsea, you have a lot more on your plate. There's a lot more pressure, especially from externally. Like at Brighton, you won't be in the headlines every week. But at Chelsea, you lose a game, you're in the headlines, you're on social media, every scrutiny of your press interviews are being scrutinised to the fullest. So everything is heightened and you have to be able to deal with this. And Graham Potter, I think, is getting it all wrong. In many of his press conferences, he's willfully saying things like, we're trying to do this, we're just trying to do that. It sounds very reminiscent of when David Moyes was at Manchester United, and that was a guy that was out of his depth. And I think this is a guy that is out of his depth at Chelsea. But where do they go from here? Do the board sack him? Do they admit fault and sack him? Because there's no way Graham Potter is going to walk from here. The cost implications alone are staggering. I think they paid Brighton a fee of around 15 to 20 million just to get him in. And I think he's on a 5-year contract, probably around £10 million a year. So that would be a staggering amount to release Graham Potter. That could be in the region of 50 million for 6 months of service from a manager. Now that, for Todd Boehly and the higher-ups and the owners, would be a huge admission of incompetence in a way, that they've got this all wrong. But Mr. Graham Potter himself, he is a very good coach. He's proven that in the past. But there can be jobs like the Chelsea job here, where it could be a case of good coach, wrong job. In my opinion, this is what's happened here at Chelsea. Because if he does get sacked, he'd be a shoo-in to go get the job at West Ham, maybe even take over from Conte at Spurs. He'd get a job tomorrow. So there's no doubt in Graham Potter's credentials as a coach. But is he right for this job? Especially when you have managers like Pochettino, maybe even Zinedine Zidane, Luis Enrique, waiting in the wings for a big job. And this Chelsea job will be a big job now. The money they've got backing up with Todd Boehly and his owners, these new managers will be back to the tilt to be able to challenge for these higher honours. So Mr. Graham Potter, enjoy the rest of your time. And I don't think we'll be seeing you in the next season. I think you'll be replaced in the summer and Chelsea will be back again next year, challenging for that top 4, and they won't be in the Champions League, or maybe not even the Europa League, which will be probably an advantage. It could be similar to Arsenal when they managed to have a fight back for the top 4 when they had just the league to focus on. So maybe they could do that here at Chelsea. It's a transition period for them, and they're going to need to transition away from the transition, because Graham Potter, sorry mate, you're out of your depth. Stay tuned for the next video. We'll be dissecting Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool's shortcomings. And the Anfield men, can they turn it around? See you next time.